Hello everybody. Today I am going to be talking about genetics. So in the intro group, like our little intro class, Dr. Jaime says something like, genetics load the gun, but your diet pulls the trigger. And so that is a huge, that's huge for every aspect in your life. Whether it be heart health, mood, fertility, really any aspect of your life, trying to lose weight, detoxification, what you eat is going to affect every aspect of your life. And so what I'm going to do today is show you a little bit about the genetic panel that we are going to start running. So genetics, it is interesting. It's ever evolving. And we don't know everything yet, but we do know quite a bit, and we're able to utilize what we know and apply it to our patients. So what we have decided to start doing is using what's called Genetic Life Hacks. And it's a website where we get your raw DNA data. It could be from 23andMe, Ancestry, or Heritage, myheritage.com. You get that the raw data, and we plug it into this Genetic Life Hacks. When we pull it into the Genetic Life Hacks, it's going to give us, it's going to sort it out and give us your genes and break it down for us to really utilize it in a way that's beneficial to you. So if your goal is to help with your heart health, or you have a family history of heart disease. Yes, you have a family history of heart disease. It runs in your family because nobody runs in your family. That kind of thing. That was a joke. I was making a funny. That's something to kind of think about. So I'm going to go over my lab results and my husband's lab results from when we did this. And, it was very interesting. It was very eye-opening for both of us. He had high, his triglycerides, his HDL, his LDL, his cholesterol, they were all wacky. For me, my vitamins were wacky. And so, we focused a lot on ways to help those areas in our life. I didn't realize that, with my vitamins being so wacky, my mood plummeted, my brain health plummeted, my immune system wasn't that great. So I'm just going to show you what the lab results really look like, and how easy it is to read them, even for the layperson. And so what we're going to start on first is the following. Sorry if you hear my dogs. There's one of them. All right, so this is the first one. It is genetics and vitamin levels. So this is from me, and I have the MTHFR. No, this is my husband's. I have the MTHFR mutation, the C677T. Now, you can see that this is the risk allele. So this is the allele, the letter that you don't really want to have. This was his genotype. So these were the two letters. So if you were to have, and I'll pull it side by side. So this is my husband's, this one was mine. So I have AA. So I have a 40 to 70% decrease in my MTHFR enzyme function. So my folate metabolism. So I don't utilize folate very well. Then, you come down here, and COMT is another one that sometimes we look at. So that was MTHFR. Then down here, my B12. If you had seen my lab results, my B12 was extremely, extremely low. And so here you can see I have the double allele for this TCN1. And so that is our B12 transporter. So that takes your B12 and it brings it to different places in your body. And it just shows that I have a lower circulating B12 value, which, you know, is not the greatest for some people. Then you come over here and you know, again, you have your MTHFR mutation here. I have the double allele. So my riboflavin may help lower my homocysteine levels. That was great because I had some elevated homocysteine levels as well. Then here it was showing, so it was showing I had a double allele for this IL-6. And so that showed that, you know, the more zinc I have, you know, supplement wise or in my diet, it helps modulate my inflammation. It helps decrease some of my inflammation, which in one of my reports definitely showed. So here again, MTHFR, I have a double allele here. So I may need more folate, more B12. And then, let's see here. So there's that one. That one was mine. Whereas for his, you know, he didn't have as many risk factors for this. And, you know, even like if it's yellow, you know, he has one of the risk alleles. So the risk allele is G, and he has a CG. And risk allele, it you know, for this part, it's a good thing that he has a G. In some instances, it's not as much of a good thing. So it depends on, you know, what you're really wanting to see. You know, here we're looking at vitamin D. And so for this gene, this GC gene, you know, he's more susceptible to having lower vitamin D levels. Well, vitamin D helps your immune system. It helps every part of your body. It's one of the things that, you know, vitamin D is the precursor for a lot of our hormones. And so if you don't have high levels of vitamin D, then sometimes you're screwed. So, you know, we supplement with that. We try to get out in the sun. For this one, saturated fats, he was having really high levels on his blood work. And so this ACE gene, he's got a double risk allele. And he's got increased risk of high blood pressure and heart disease with a high saturated fat diet. Well, he was eating out a lot at that time, wasn't exercising, and so that made sense, you know, with the food he was eating triggering this gene. One of the other things that you can do with this is your metabolic health. So it'll go through and just, you know, you can look at your diabetes risk, your risk for you know, your GLP-1. And so GLP-1 is like the Ozempic that people are being put on right now, or your GLP-1 inhibitor. So that's something that we can look at if you're having trouble losing weight. You know, let's see here. That's hormone health. If you are struggling with your hormones, this can help, especially with that. So and this is funny because, you know, he's a guy, so he doesn't have a uterus, and he's definitely not experiencing the you know, period symptoms, but he still has these genes, and so they can exhibit themselves in different ways. So just because, you know, he doesn't have these specific issues, they can help lead us to other areas. Now, he's got a scar on his shoulder, really bad, from a motorcycle accident, and it turned into a fibroid, or not a fibroid. it turned into a big clump of scar tissue, which is kind of like a fibroid. And so that is one way that this gene can affect his body. He scars really easy, and it bulks up really big. Then you have, so for females, estrogen. Guys have estrogen too, but in much lower amounts. And then you have your testosterone. So this is for guys and girls. So, you know, you look through and you can see what he's more susceptible to. Here's one for thyroid. So for thyroid, you know, are you at risk for developing an autoimmune disorder with thyroid? So for him, he is more at an increased risk to develop an autoimmune with thyroid because of this TPO. And so with that, you know, we make sure that he's not eating as much gluten, because gluten is a trigger for thyroid autoimmune disorders. Okay, so then for me, this is, you know, a weight loss topic summary. So one of the things that I was very interested in finding out is that I have the FTO, aka the fatso gene. So when I'm stressed out, my thing to do is I was a snacker. I would eat and eat and eat. So when I was trying to study for exams or for boards, or, you know, had personal issues going on, the way I would deal with that was to eat. And it was usually a high carbohydrate, high sugary food. And so with that, you know, I have the double allele here, and it increased my risk of obesity. It increased my risk of having a higher BMI. And so, here it goes. Intermittent fasting. So here's another thing. You know, what type of diet is best for you? Would you do well with the keto diet? Would you do well with intermittent fasting? Would you do better with like a paleo hunter-gatherer diet? So that's something, you know, that we could, if you decided to do this, that's something you could look into. And then lastly is this brain and mood topic disorder. And so here, you know, it's looking at, you know, your seasonal affective disorder. It typically happens more fall, winter time. And I don't have any of the triggers for that. However, I still, you know, would get some of it every now and then, because we don't know what this